All right, at number three, we've
Three.
got Zoke, Money Muscle coming in. Last week, he put up a mere 115 points. It is what it is. It was enough to knock, my sorry team off the radar a little bit. Um, but there are better weeks to come, especially now that Jaden Daniels is coming back in the lineup. I he just the only flaw that Zoke has is one of his running back spots, right? Because he's had some injury problems there. He lost Tracy, and then he thought he had a band-aid with Trey Benson, and Trey Benson's going on IR now, and so clearly he's scampering for whatever he can, right? And Xavier Scott looked great when in that Vikings game that I was watching, he was getting a lot of targets, and so with another week of game plan, he might see more action coming up. Um, but his receivers, they're just all target hogs. Between JSN and Chris Olave and Tedero McMillan, they probably all average 9, 10 targets a game from their respective offenses. Uh, Now the Panthers and the Saints aren't great offenses, but it doesn't really matter in a PPR league when you're getting just so many catches per game. Um, and he's going to add Bowers to that madness, who I think is going to come alive in the second half of the season to fill in that tight end spot. J.K. Dobbins has looked like J.K. all day that he used to before he got injured. So yeah, just a good looking team, though. And of course, I don't want to forget Patrick Mahomes as your QB too. Everybody left him for dead. The last 2 years, thinking that he wasn't ever going to come back to greatness, and he's looking okay.
Yeah, Mahomes is doing that without Rasheed Rice. Rasheed Rice, we'll touch on that with Jay Louis' team here in just a bit. Mahomes will get Rasheed Rice back. I think that's going to even make him more dangerous yet. I'm not going to add too much more because I think you pretty much hit on it all, except I do want to say Chris Godwin, 10 targets in his return. I know he had 3 catches for 26 yards. That's 5.6 points. But it's just encouraging 10 targets. You know he's going to find his footing and get back to form. So that's just another weapon. Hollywood Brown, he has him on his bench. He put up 12.8. When bye weeks roll around, that's a solid option to have off the bench.
Well, Hollywood's
Just
going to
overall,
Lathan.
that is correct. He's going in return, but like you said, he picks up Brock Bowers, so that's a weapon, a good weapon to have. So it's looking up for Money Muscle. Get Jaden Daniels back, and you got Jaden Daniels and Patrick Mahomes as your two quarterbacks. You're going to be fine.
Yeah.
So I think definitely playoff team here. We have him at 3 right now. That I think that speaks to possibly a championship team. Not saying that he will win the championship, but definitely should have those aspirations this year with the squad that he has, which we didn't quite see coming into this year. We had him ranked, I don't know where, maybe
Yeah.
6 or so. So, we saw him as a playoff team, but not quite as good. So he's kind of proving us wrong, but we'll see what he's got in store the rest of the year.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think he'll at least be competing. Um, you just said number two, we have Louis coming in at number two. He just knocked off Stahl last week with a 125 point outing. Um, you know, uh, Puka Nakua is this year's Jamar Chase. He's the game changer, the game breaker. And we have some Q&As about him later on, but when you have that number one receiver, the top dog, the total just absolute animal, it's
It's a game
it's
changer. It's
it's
a
a game changer.
it's yeah,
It's not only so
it's
much
crazy how
fun,
much of a difference it is.
but it hides so many holes on your roster. You're allowed to not have as much depth because that dude can take care of two and a half players, two and a half roster spots. Um, but when you pair that with, a good, um, pairing of running backs, Bijan Robinson's awesome. David Montgomery had a bad week this past week, but uh, that's going to change. I think this week David Montgomery is going to have an absolute ball. Um, and so, they're like I said, the holes I'm mentioning is like Rashid Shaheed, maybe Harold Fannin at your tight end position, which, maybe Mark Andrews actually is what he's been doing the last couple of weeks with all these targets. Maybe that actually stays. But yeah, it really just comes down to, the fact that you have Puka Nakua with a good set of running backs. And right around the corner, waiting to be unleashed is Rashee Rice to help out on that wide receiver two position for your team. Yeah,
You
I
see
am
who
a
else he has, who I just talked about? I think that could be another piece. He has Malik Washington.
Malik.
I didn't know he had him. So that could
Yeah,
be another piece.
yeah.
Uh,
This is a scary
I,
team.
I know you're not high on Golden.
Nope.
I know you're not. I think he could be all right. I think he could be all right. I think that could not be another piece. He's not going to win the championship for you, but I think he could be another solid piece off that bench to fill in whenever necessary. I think it's a good squad. I think
Yeah.
we underestimated Jay Louis from best ball a little bit from the beginning, and I think he's proven us wrong. How fun is it also to see Baker Mayfield in Tampa? Like that offense is just
Oh,
fun
it's
to
fun.
watch.
It's very
I'm
fun.
not I'm not a huge like Baker fan, but just watching that offense, him running the show after his down years, and it looked like he was on his way out of the NFL. For him to bounce back and do what he's doing in Tampa is it's fun to watch with all
It
the
is.
weapons that he has, especially when they're
Yeah.
all. I mean, if they can get all the way healthy, watch out. Like that's a scary team in the NFC.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Definitely. Well, yeah, I don't think we really need to say anything else. Louis, good job. Good scoring. You're 3-1. Keep it going. I think you will do just fine. So yeah, let's just leave it at that. And then so yeah, coming in at number one, uh, who happens to be our highest riser from our initial rankings is Mr. Mason. Welcome to the top, my man.
And Mason,
Mason,
we had you written off after you made that trade to begin the season, getting Kareem Hunt to fill your RB2 spot. And man, have you proved us wrong? And it's you got a squad here. Go ahead.
yeah.
You
Well,
talk about it first.
162 points last week. Let's just start there so we know what this team can do. And when you go down this roster, right, you have Justin Fields, who is arguably any given week the best fantasy quarterback to have. And then you move to Christian McCaffrey, arguably any given week the best running back fantasy player to have. Justin Jefferson for the last 4 years has been the best wide receiver fantasy player to have. And then, you have upstarts and Brian Thomas Jr. there. I've already said in this on this podcast about my love for Torrey Horton about his future. We'll see if that actually comes to play this season or not. But Khalil Shakir, talk about if you're playing BTJ and Justin Jefferson, just to have those PPR stability with Shakir as your in your flex spot. Um, yeah, there's hardly any holes in this team, especially now that Quinshon Judkins is the main man in Cleveland, holding up your RB2 spot. As soon as Brock Purdy gets healthy, and you can actually run a true QB or two QB roster in this league, dude, you're so set. And then on your bench, you have all these backup running backs that at any point of an injury, if there ever was one, or maybe some more playing time, Blake Corum, Ollie Gordon, Sean Tucker now with those injuries going on Tampa Bay. Dude, I'm excited for you.
Yeah. So Mason is actually not. Let's see. He's about fifth in PF. So Tidal Wave is one in PF, 557, which is crazy. And then Jay Louis is second in PF with about 550 ish. So Jay Louis, that you're way up there in PF. I mean, you're ranked number two for a reason. Mason, you're around fifth in PF overall for the season at 495. So it hasn't. It's not like you're. It's crazy that you haven't scored more points, I guess, because you would think your PF would be higher with the guys you have. And I think that's gonna skyrocket, and you will be up, in the top three with PF here pretty soon because this team is absolutely loaded. Like Justin Fields, that run he had the other night, I think proves that he is, capable of putting up huge fantasy points week in and week out because just of the rushing ability. Christian McCaffrey, if he stays healthy, he is like all the elite seasons he's had in the past. This might be, you know, up there with all the really really good years that he's had because he's on pace to put up some crazy numbers. And then Judkins, I mean, that's been a huge addition because you had that RB2 spot up in the air for a while, and now that plugged in Judkins there, he's He's going to do good things for you. So if you get, I think you had said this, you cut out for this second, but so I might be repeating some of the same things. But if BTJ starts putting up his numbers from last year and Jefferson keeps rolling, like it's hard to imagine that you're not right there at the end fighting for a championship. I think I could see Sean Tucker. I'll wait till the bowl prediction to say that, but I think he could be a a little bit valuable here coming up too in a running back spot if you need to plug in a running back for bye weeks or whatever. I don't know when your running backs have buys, but you got a
Yeah.
team here. Brock Purdy needs to get healthy though for you. I will say that. I don't trust Calvin Ridley. I don't trust him in that Titans offense. Brock Purdy needs to get healthy. I think by the end of the year, hopefully the 49ers stay in contention because that'll give them a reason to, want him to be back and not shut him down. But if he hopefully gets healthy for you, I mean, watch out. You could be the first champion in this league very, very
Yeah.
easily.
And the one player we didn't touch on was his tight end, Jake Ferguson. Nothing sexy about him, but the man is averaging almost 10 targets per game this year. Like, that's all you need your tight end to do is just catch the ball a few times. And just good stuff. Well, anyways,
Do you know his what Jake Ferguson tight end is overall right now?
mm, if he's had all those targets, probably, well, the tight ends have sucked this year, so probably three.
He's tight end number one.
Is he?
Yes, he
Yeah, boy.
is.
Boy, Jake.
Yes, he is. He has put
Interesting.
up 7, 16, 21, and 17 on target numbers 6, 12, 14, and 7.
Yeah. And so when you have
Wow.
when you I wouldn't say it's luck. We all know that Jake Ferguson is Mr. Necessary and Dak loves him, but when Mason is able to draft a guy like that to pair with all those high flyers around his team, yeah, that's exactly why we're talking about him at number one. So
And
good
what's
job.
even crazier yet about Ferg is that I think his rookie year, when he had a really good year, is because he got a lot of red zone targets and touchdowns. He scored his first touchdown last week against Green Bay, so he has one touchdown on the year through 4 weeks, and he's still number one. I think that's speaks to
That's
the number of receptions that he has based on the
yeah.
being a target hog there in Dallas, and they're going to have to keep throwing it. Their defense is freaking awful, so they're going to be behind, and they're going to keep throwing
Yeah.
it.
Oh, definitely. All right, well that'll do for our rankings. Let us know what y'all think about them. Go ahead and give us praise or the shit for it, and we're gonna move on. We're gonna go ahead and look at the waiver wire action that we had this week. 5 waiver claims were made up at the top. Cooper Rush, the one available starting quarterback for this coming week, went for $44. Outbid me, outbid Merch as well, both thinking that we could outbid Brock, the Lamar owner, and um, Greg decided he needed him some Cooper Rush. So congrats, Greg, on that. Um, and I think that just speaks to the Superflex League. You just have to take your shots. You have to try to get as many points as you can any given week. So that's what that is.
I agree with that. As far as you just have to take a chance because quarterbacks are valuable in this league, so you're trying to, get all the points you can from a quarterback. I just don't think Cooper Rush is going to put up numbers. I wasn't even really that worried about losing out on him. I was more willing to plug in a different position player into my super flex spot instead of spending the rest of my money on Cooper Rush and plugging him in for 2 weeks. But anyways, you never know. You never know. Quarterbacks can be very valuable in this league, though. So
Yeah.
not a bad pick up there, Greg.
We'll go through these other ones a little quicker, I guess. Jake paid up for Jalen Hyatt after losing Neighbors. I can see why. Maybe he thinks he just needs to take a shot in an offense that has a need for receivers, right? So I can see Jake trying to fill that hole with
And you,
$31.
yeah, and you never know who Jackson Dart's going to fall in love with. So Jalen Hyatt might just needed a change of quarterback one more time. Jackson Dart may target him. Who knows? Might hit on a couple deep bombs and take off.
Um, Luke McCaffrey is interesting. 3 different people bid on him. Somebody got him for $30. The thing about that Washington offense is that Jane Daniels is young, but his receivers are old. Debo's about to age out. Terry McLaurin isn't a young buck anymore. And so if, Luke's showing promise this year, he's caught a touchdown this past two games, he's kind of scored some points and he's going to have a role in this offense, and it's assumedly only going to get larger as those other guys age out and get a little, banged up and older. So
I was hoping that Jalen Lane was going to take off as their wide receiver three, but it looks like Luke McCaffrey has beat him out. So not a bad pickup there because he's putting up numbers, and who knows? Scary Terry might not be able to stay healthy. Debo's old, so who knows?
yeah.
It might be a good pickup, even if it's just for the fact of plugging in during bye weeks and getting, having a depth piece there to get you some points whenever you need it.
Next we have Goonslick. He outbid me for Tommy Tremble. It might only be I don't know how hurt Jatavion Sanders is in Carolina, but Tommy Tremble kind of got all the tight end snaps and targets this past week, and he showed out with 15 points. So just probably a wise $10 bet for a tight end that's going to get you that many targets and a struggling quarterback that needs a safety net. So.
It's not a bad pickup, and the reason I think that is because what has Jatavion Sanders done in his 2 years in the NFL so far?
Not a
Not
lot.
much. So Tommy Tremble gets a chance. He has a chance for a week or two. He takes off and he might take the gig there over Sanders, even if Sanders is healthy.
And then we're finishing that one off with looks like that Greg decided to just throw a dart. He threw a dart on Tremaine in Carolina because he's had a couple productive weeks in limited time, but not really anything too crazy. But you might as well throw some darts here and there across the season just to see if something pops up. So I get it. Um, and then after the fact, after the waiver wires went through, Lathan, he claimed Donovan Edwards, who I did not know was on Washington at this point, but I think we all remember Donovan Edwards in college and kind of how his draft stock plummeted and how he just kind of vanished. And so why not? We all know how talented he is, and we all know that that running back room is a little weird. So it's kind of a nice little, like I said, dart throw. Me and Zoe both took shots on the Arizona backfield too, with Trey Benson going down, Michael Carter and Bam Knight. Those are the next guys up. And then I also picked up Demarcus Robinson just because he's literally the last receiver standing in that San Francisco um, offense. And so I'm still debating on if I'm going to play him
Yeah,
this week or not. But
Demarcus Robinson had a good preseason. I actually drafted him, and then I dropped him because of the 3 game suspension. I had to make room for somebody else. But now that he's back and everybody is like literally everybody is hurt in San Francisco except for Christian McCaffrey, which is hard to believe because CMC is usually the one that's always hurt. So you never know. Demarcus Robinson could be the go-to guy there as far as a receiver for a few weeks. So not a bad pickup. I think Michael Carter gets some early down work for you in Arizona now. So that's a good pickup. Could get you some points. Zoe rostered Bam Knight. I think he's the running back three in Arizona, but the way running backs are dropping like flies in Arizona, you never know. So and never know what happens now that they're having to, get somebody new in there. They might give him a chance and just have running backs rostered in this league. If they're any chance that they could do anything, you got to have them rostered. So I
yeah,
think that pretty much covers all the acquisitions except for the trade. I think we just need to touch on that trade real quick. What I'll
go
say
for it.
about it is I think sometimes you just have to judge a trade based on who gets the best player. And the best player in this trade far and away is Brock Bowers. Like he hasn't been what he was his rookie year, but long term, short term, and long term, he's the best player. He's a big time, you know, acquisition anytime you can get him because he already showed what he could do last year. So I think just based on him being by far and away the best player in this deal, I think Zoe got to win here. So I will say, Stall, if so, Hawk is just not Hawk of old. That has to do with the quarterback play, I think. But you never know. Like Carson Wentz throwing the other week, that was the best thing that ever happened to Justin Jefferson. You never know. TJ Hawkinson might be able to bounce back and have some good weeks if Wentz is slinging the ball around. Hollywood Brown has had some good weeks, so you got a few decent pieces to help you fill in, but I just think losing Brock Bowers, that's an elite option at tight end. Like that swings my vote in favor of Zoe winning this trade. I don't know
Yep.
if you got anything else to add.
No, I think it comes down to there's a lot of mediocre players and there's one big boy name, and I'm gonna side with whoever got the big boy name. So
Yeah,
that's
absolutely, I agree with that.
all there is to it. Yeah, I
That
think
wraps up
that does
that
it
wraps
from.
up acquisitions, huh?
Yeah,
Trades
I think
and
so.
waivers. You
I
want to do
think
you want to do a little fan mail
let's
Q and
do a
A?
little fan mail. Yeah,
Yeah,
we had a little question barrage this
Buffalo's
morning,
got a
so we'll
little
go ahead and
overzealous this morning with all his questions.
yeah,
Got a little got
taco.
a little got a little
So
trigger happy with all the.
the
You
first
got them in front of
question
you? Yeah, get them.
the first question that we have is, will Puka finish as the wide receiver number one? And it's a two-parter. And will he break the NFL receiving yards record? Do you wanna start?
Yes and yes. If he stays healthy, if he stays healthy, he's no doubt the wide receiver one in my mind. Like I don't know how far ahead he is right now, but it's got to be like some crazy amount. Like if he stays healthy, there's nobody going to top him this year.
I
And I
think
think go ahead, and then we'll
with
talk
both
about the
our
record.
answers with both our record or our both our answers, I think we're both speaking as to if he stays healthy and Matt Stafford stays
That's
healthy.
it. Yes, they both have
Okay.
to stay healthy. Absolutely.
So I have him, yes, as the number one receiver. He's going to finish. He's going to be Jamar Chase this year. He's going to be a baller. But I do not have him breaking the NFL receiving yards record. So,
Okay. Well,
um,
here's where it's a little bit unfair because Calvin Johnson has the receiving record, right? 1,900 and whatever yards. Nobody's ever broken 1,000 in a or 2,000 in a season. Is that's right? I looked all this up earlier. So
yeah.
Calvin Johnson had 1,900 whatever, but back then they only played 16 games. Puka now plays 17, so that is an advantage. So Cooper Kupp was the closest to Calvin Johnson. He was a few yards away from breaking it.
So
So I think that displays what Matthew Stafford can do. Now Puka's going to do that this year, and he has 17 games. Did Cooper Kupp have 17 games that year? Was that when they
yes,
started?
but what I'm trying to ask is, I thought I looked it up earlier and I saw an 18th game this year. Did I somehow miss that? Did I miss that we're
No,
playing
it's still
18?
17. But
Okay.
as you might have seen week eight, you might have seen week 18. There's 18 weeks, but with one bye, so there's still 17.
That's probably where I was at. Okay. Well, then this kind of is ruining my prediction, but what I had him out, I was like, okay, I must have been a rule change. But what I have him is that he's gonna be on pace to break the receiving record, but their team is so good that he's gonna sit out by the last game and maybe only play like half of the game before that. And so I had him actually tying for third place. Julio Jones had 1,871 yards for third place. And I actually have Puka tying that number this year, which is pretty cool because that means Matt Stafford through to the number one, number two, and number three receiving record holders.
Through that,
So,
I
yeah,
didn't think of that part. That's pretty
yeah,
neat.
no, he's got the quarterback to do it. He's got the offense. He has the target share, but I just literally think that he's not going to do it just because they won't need him. Moving forward, they can still run the ball and they can still get easy wins with their defense as well. So,
Yeah. So here's another thing. I think he's on pace right now for over 2,100 yards, which would absolutely shatter the record. He's also on pace. Michael Thomas, old Saints legend here, had 149, I think it was 149 receptions. That was the single season record. Puka's on pace for 178 receptions, which would absolutely shatter the record. So maybe he breaks. I don't know. Like he's getting what 15 targets a game. So
something like that.
like if he has to stay healthy, Matthew Stafford has to stay healthy. Like if Stafford goes out too, it's not going to happen. But if they stay healthy, they have a chance to break both of those records. That is a really cool fact, though, that Matthew Stafford does have the top three, which I also think speaks to he's freaking good. Matthew Stafford is freaking good, and
Matty is awesome.
yeah,
He's a baller.
it's fun to watch him sling the ball around because when he locks in on a favorite receiver, he just peppers away. And
Yeah,
then you
I
saw it
will
with Cooper
just.
Cup.
It was very fun to have the Triple Crown season for Cooper Cup that year. It was very fun.
Yeah,
Definitely.
we can go on to the
Question.
next one. So
Yeah,
I say yes and yes. You say yes. He is the number one, but doesn't break the record.
right.
Okay.
Um, will Indiana Jones, aka Danny Dimes, aka Daniel Jones, lead the Colts to playoffs and win NFL Comeback Player of the Year? Um,
I got the
I
Colts. I got the Colts. I mean, you can go first if you want to.
I was just say yes, they do go to the playoffs. They are a playoff team. I think their defense is good enough, and he is running that offense well. Um, but he will not win comeback player of the year. That prestige is usually placed upon somebody with an injury that has come back and fought hard through something like that. And so I actually think that award is going to go to Aiden Hutchinson from the Lions.
That's not a bad pick. I agree, except I have a different player that wins it. Yes, the Colts. I have them finishing at 10-7 if I calculated it earlier. I think that's enough to win the AFC South. The AFC South's pretty weak. I think they squeak by, and Jacksonville ends like 9-8. I think the Texans end around like 8-9, something like that. I think the Colts squeak out the division at 10-7. So he leads them back to the playoffs. I don't think they make a playoff run though. I think they might lose in the first round, something like that. So I don't think they're a championship team. But he does get them back in the playoffs. He does not win comeback player of the year. I think Christian McCaffrey stays healthy and wins comeback player of the year.
Nice.
That's my pick. But that's
Um,
two solid. I mean, that's a one offensive guy that can win it and one defensive guy that can win it. Like that's pretty solid options. So
yeah, and I don't think a defensive guy's won it in like 8, 9 years, something like that. Well, actually, nothing outside of a quarterback has won it in like 8 years. So we're both kind of have that's kind of a
yeah,
bold
which
prediction itself. But
I didn't go into detail, but or depth looking. I don't know what quarterbacks were hurt last year that are back.
Joe Burrow.
Like this, who?
Oh, for this year,
Yeah, yeah,
no idea, but that's all
yeah.
right.
I don't know, but anyways, yeah, I got McCaffrey winning that award.
And then the final two, and we'll start with the bottom one, just because I think we're in agreement on this one, and we have difference opinion on the second one. So the one that we have an agreement on is what 3-1 team has the worst chance of making the playoffs. I think it's Stahl. I think it's Lathan. I think we both think that he's going to crumble, and we don't need to speak anymore on that. I don't think we've kind of
Yeah,
crushed him a little bit enough, but I think he might fall out of contention. But then the one we have difference opinion on is what 1-3 team has the best chance to make playoffs. Uh, I actually think that it's going to be the garbage taco. I think that I saw Ashton Genty come alive this past week. Nico Collins showing a little bit of life there. Um, I'm not as set on this prediction that I was earlier in the day as to when I started looking at it now, but like I'm going to stick with it. I do think that. Um, and he had a tough schedule, I believe. I looked at kind of the teams that he faced earlier in the year, and so I'm going with the garbage taco.
yeah. I don't think Greg has a chance, which it's it's gonna screw me over again because I face him this week, and man, I'm shooting myself in the foot here because he's gonna beat me and knock me back down below 500. I think the winner of you and Tidal Wave this week, whoever gets it going this week and gets the 2-3, I think y'all both have the best shot. Although if you fall to 1-4, whoever loses that and falls to 1-4 is gonna have a hell of a time getting back in it. So I think whoever gets a 2-3 this week will make the playoffs, but I'm not gonna tell you who wins until we get to predictions.
Sweet. Well, that does it for Q&A for the fan mail. So thank you guys. Remember, you can submit um, anytime, and we'll jot them down throughout the week. Cool if you want to send them in on Wednesday, but you can send them on in anytime you want by text or the messenger, whatever you want. So
I got one for you
yeah,
real quick. I got one for you real quick. Who wins the two college games this week? A&M, Mississippi State, and then Texas and Florida. Real quick, like 30 seconds.
A&M in Florida.
Okay, I think A&M. I think Mississippi State is actually pretty good. think A&M does squeak by though. I think they win, but it's not as. I think they're like 14-point favorites. I don't know if they win by that much. I think they win though. I think Texas squeaks out the win in Florida.
Love it. Awesome. Well, that does it for Q&A. We've got about 10 minutes, and I think we can get through these matchup predictions going forward. So let's just, say who we got. We don't need to spend too much time on everybody. So starting at the top, I'm going to go ahead and say I am going to beat Tidal Wave. Kind of like your week 3 prediction. It's just because I have to. I have to win. And so I'm going to speak it into existence. That's all there is to it.
I had a really, really tough time picking between y'all. I'm going to give you the advantage. I think you win. I don't like the playing two giants, Theo Johnson and Jalen Hyatt. I don't like that. Maybe he's onto something. Maybe he's onto something that might work out in his favor. I give you the edge. I think Woody Marks and the Charbonnet Kenneth Walker duo. I think that all comes together for you. And you would think AJ Brown's got to get it going, man. You would think he's got to get like they got to target the crap out of him and get him going. I know he's got a tough matchup this week in Denver, or against Denver, but I think you squeak out the win. You get to 2-3. It puts a damper on Tidal Wave season at 1-4. You never know. He's good enough. He could claw back from 1-4, but I think you get the win this week and move back up the rankings a little bit and possibly back in playoff talks. I think this is the matchup of the week though, because it's two good teams, and it's somebody's going to fall to 1-4, and that's tough, man.
Next up, we've got your matchup versus the talk about a win. And I'm going to pair it with, him going to make the playoffs by saying he actually gets the win over you this week with the Gibbs, Genty coming alive, Nico Collins. But more than anything, I think it's because you're stacking Kyler Murray and Marv Harrison are not going to be needed because they're going to be able to run all over Tennessee. And Tennessee is just going to be very easily taken care of. And so they're just not going to be they're not going to need to do much. And so that kind of takes away some firepower from your squad.
I hope it's Kyler running then.
That could be.
I got me. I just don't know about some of Greg's plays. Like I think my team finally woke up last week with scoring 141, and I don't know about some of Greg's plays. Although Gibbs and Genty scare me, and Nico Collins. Like Baltimore's defense has been vulnerable,
They have.
so
They
could
look
Stroud
good
and
and then they
could
look
Stroud and
terrible.
Nico, could Stroud and Nico get it going this weekend? Nico score about 30, 35 and kill me, but we'll see.
The
I
next
got
matchup
me.
is Goonslick and Merch. I have Goonslick. I mean, it's pretty much two good teams. He just has the better one. Josh Allen, Brees Hall, Cam Scatterboo. And it's a little bit more of he has a higher ceiling because of Merch playing two guys from the same offense, two tight ends, that kind of thing. So I'm just going to take Goonslick.
I got Goon as well. I think Josh Allen and Herbert at quarterback. Also, Jordan Love is out for Merch. I think that's a little bit of a problem. And like I said, Jamar Chase, you got to play him, man. But it's tough sledding right now. It's real tough sledding. But I got Goon, but I think it's close. I think it's close.
Next up, we have Pigskin Princess and Stall. I know we've been giving Stall a lot of shit this episode, and he's going to crumble, but I don't think it starts this week. I do think that he handles business against Pigskin. He goes 4-1, and that's when his decline starts. So I do have Stall. Um, you know, uh, I don't really want to speak too much more on it, but I just think he gets it done. I think it'll also be close within like a 5 point game, but I think he gets the win.
Seems this really tough matchups this week to predict. I don't know. It's like a lot of close ones maybe, but I'm gonna go Pigskin Princess. I don't think she gets anywhere near 180, but I think Stall. Oh, I picked against you every week. I got to just keep it going, man. It finally worked out in my favor last week, so I got the Princess.
Next matchup is Money Muscle versus Dean. This is surprising I surprised myself whenever I was kind of looking at it, but I'm actually going to take Dino on this one. I think Dean gets the win. I'm not even sure where the points come from. But I think that that hole at running back for Zoke is going to hurt him a little bit. Jaden Daniels, he's coming back. Maybe he's not quite as effective as he should be. But yeah, I just have a sneaky suspicion that Dino knocks off Zoke this week.
I got Zoke. I got Money Muscle. I think there's just too much firepower on this team getting Jane Daniels back. And, you know, Dean, he's proven us wrong. He might prove me wrong again, but I just think the old man club, it's not going to be able to defeat Money Muscle this week.
Next matchup, we have Sly Dog versus Louis. Uh, Simple. I'm going to take Louis. Slides at the bottom,
Give,
Louis at the top.
give me Jay Louie. Give me Jay Louie.
And then the final one we have is Mason versus Mike. And kind of the same little scenario. I got Mason, just a solid ass team, just going to be great all the time. And, Mike's just not going to be able to compete.
Yeah, same reasoning. Give me Mason.
Cool. All
By the
right. Well,
way, what
that
do we
does it.
say where our records are at? 13 and 16 right now after 4 weeks, and then we had another prediction in there that we counted that one time. So we're working our way back to 500. Maybe we'll have a good run in us this week. One of us will, or in the next few weeks, and start predicting a few more of these the right way, which we have started because we both went 4-3 this past week. So we're starting to get back to, you know, making a little bit more sense whenever we're predicting. But I think we got what 3 minutes left. So you want to run through some bold predictions?
Yeah, I've been having some trouble coming up with one. One I do feel strongly about is that I don't know how bold I want to be, but I do know that David Montgomery will outscore Jahmyr Gibbs this week. Um, and to make it bold, we'll
I'm
just
fine
say
with that.
he outscores him by 15. We'll say that. So
That's
there's
bold.
one.
That's bold.
Oh,
I think I got three of them. I'm gonna say them real quick, and then you can go do whatever you want to finish up. On Mason's team, I got two for Mason. I think Justin Fields finishes as QB1 this week, scores over 30 against that Dallas defense. Number two also comes from Mason's team. I think that, let me find back what I was, where was I? What was I looking at here? Oh, number two, hang on. Number two, Merch Luck. I think you lose this week, but I think Jameson Williams outscores Amon-Ra St. Brown this week against the Cincinnati defense. I think Jameson Williams has a couple of deep bombs to get him going, one long one for a touchdown. So I think he outscores the Sun God this week. You can go ahead. I forget what my third one was. If I think of it, if not, it's all right too.
I just have one other one, and I think this is Cam Scadaboo's official coming out party this week against New Orleans. I think that another week of preparation for Jackson Dart, he's going to be calmed down a little bit. He probably won't run as much just because he has more of a game plan he's ready on, and a lot of that's going to do with running the ball with Cam and checking the ball down to Cam, and that New Orleans team just is terrible. So I think Cam Scadaboo goes for 35.
Okay, that's another good bold one. Yeah, I don't remember. Oh, my last one. Here it goes. If Bucky Irving is out, we got less than a minute. If Bucky Irving is out, which it looks like he's trending in the wrong direction, I think Sean Tucker is actually more productive in the weeks that Bucky misses than Rashad White is. I think Sean Tucker is going to surprise a lot of people because people think Rashad White is going to step in. I think Sean Tucker is actually going to be more productive than Rashad White. That's all I
Yeah, I
got.
mean, there's a reason why Rashad White got outplayed. There's a reason why Bucky Irvin was able to make his way on the field. Rashad White he's not that great. I mean, at least I don't think so. All right,
I
well,
agree.
that was a solid almost 2 hour episode or whatever. But guys, thanks for listening, and here's good luck to all of you, and happy hunting for points.
Good luck in week 5.